Hello, and welcome to the Soul Shaking Love podcast. I'm Valerie Green from CoachValerieGreen.com, and this podcast is about bringing you expert teachers to help you feel that mind, body, and spirit connection, both with yourself and with your true love. And so today I am extremely excited to bring you Roy Biancalana, who is a nationally recognized relationship coach. And he is going to talk about getting ready for something real, which is so exciting. Hi, Roy.
Hello there. Great to be here.
Yes, it's so nice to have you. So I'll talk a little bit about Roy and the topic, and then we'll dive in because it's a very interesting topic. Because basically, what we mean by getting ready for something real, a lot of times, I'm sure you've heard experts, including myself, saying, well, if you want to get the guy, do this, or when he says that, do that. But that's the outer work. And really what we need to do is prepare the inner work, which is what are our sabotaging behaviors, our blocks and blind spots that are responsible for attracting the wrong partners in the first place. And so I'll tell you a little bit about Roy just because he's an expert on this. Roy has been, for the past 15 years, he's been supporting single people in the art of attracting healthy and sustainable intimate relationships. And his experience taught him that getting in relationship shape is the key to attracting lasting love, which I love. So I look forward to talking about that. And so along with being a frequent TV analyst, Roy is the author of 3 #1 best-selling books, the latest of which is Relationship Boot Camp: Hardcore Training for Life, Love, and the Pursuit of Intimacy. So we'll dive into all the insights and topics that he shares in that book. I'm really excited. So, hey, Roy.
Hey, welcome. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm glad to be here. Fantastic.
Totally. I know it's a lot to introduce because it's a very deep topic. So the first thing that I want to ask you about is that you just have an interesting story about how you got into relationship coaching. And I know that it really ties into the topic. So why don't we start out by you sharing that with us?
Yeah. I never set out to be a coach. This was never like a dream of mine and never, an intention from way back. Becoming a coach sort of came up behind me and grabbed me. And I say that because, I often joke with my clients that if you want to have a great love life, you just have to do the dead opposite of everything that I've done in my life. And you're going to be on a good track. I've made every mistake you can possibly make. And so just to go briefly through it, I was married for 19 years. And that relationship really became kind of a platonic co-parenting. It was a functional relationship, but we lost the man-woman stuff. We lost, our connection to one another, and we just co-parented. And I don't think that was really enjoyable for either one of us. I know it wasn't for me. And so I initiated a divorce. And my first mistake came by not doing any self-reflection or any inner work coming out of that relationship. I just rebounded into another one. Okay. And of course, the rebound is always, the ball bounces off the rim, the rebound, it goes one direction, goes back the other direction. Yeah. And that's what I did. I rebounded into a relationship that was probably, it was like all sexual. Right. It was like, and at the time that was wonderful because it had been so long for me.
Yeah, and it happens to the best of us, right? Like
yeah.
we pendulum between extremes of like, I wasn't getting that need met there. So, oh my gosh, this feels so good.
Yeah. And back then I thought that's what a relationship was. It was supposed to meet my needs. So whenever you do that, you're going to be in big trouble. But so yeah, I went from the platonic marriage to this highly sexual relationship. We got engaged. We were together 2.5 years. And about 6 months before the wedding, she broke up with me. And that one, Valerie, destroyed me. That one broke me, looking back in the best of ways. Yeah. But I went through what I would consider a year-long midlife crisis. Wow. I mean, I couldn't sleep. I became a lousy father. My career suffered. I had obsessive thinking and, just heart palpitation. I was a mess for about a year. And so mistake number 2 was not at that moment stopping in my pain and maybe reaching out and doing some work on myself and maybe learning a few things from what I had been through. I just handled the pain the only way I knew how at the time. I was in survival mode. And so I just joined 4 different dating sites after she broke up with me. And I was going to just find a new woman to help me forget about the last one. Okay.
I mean, I appreciate you sharing all this, because
Yeah.
I think that, some people put us on pedestals, and it's good for people to see that we're normal,
God,
and
no.
we make the same choices that most people do, and we learn from our mistakes, and then we teach others how to not do what we did.
Right. No, man, I am under the pedestal. I ain't on it. Okay. I'm like one beggar telling other beggars where to find bread. Okay. That's kind of what my role is. And so, I went through that period of time, and then I joined these dating sites, and I met all these women, and really what was happening, I didn't know at the time. I actually thought that I was emotionally available, but I wasn't. I was actually looking for a woman to help me forget about the last one. I was, in a sense, using the women that I was meeting just to help me for a while forget about my ex-fiance and so forth. So you can imagine the amount of drama that happened with the women online when I thought that I was available and ready for a relationship, and I really wasn't. Yeah. And so there was a bunch of drama that I write about in some of my books that happened in the midst of that. And right about then, a friend of mine, brilliant person, said, Roy, do you think maybe you need to talk to someone? Now, it seems like that's an obvious yes to that question. But to be really honest with everyone here, up until that moment, I actually thought that my love life was not going the way I wanted it to because I hadn't found the right woman yet.
That's like, what most people are taught.
I was blaming the women. Oh, my ex-wife this, my ex-fiance, and all you crazy women online. It never occurred to me that I was the common denominator in all of the pictures. It never occurred to me that maybe it was me. Okay. Or at least maybe I had something to do with my relationship outcomes and my relationship experience. So I hired a coach. I think my mentality was, what the hell? I guess I've tried everything else. I'll do this. And so when I first sat down with my coach, I think the first thing she said to me was, I don't want to hear about these women. I do not want to hear what they did and what they did to you and what their problems are and blah, blah, blah. I want to know if you want to put the mirror up in front of your face and look at yourself. I want to know if you want to look within and have a conversation about you and what's going on inside of you and how you are creating the nightmares that you've been in. And I think I was willing to do that because I was in so much pain. It's like, what else was I going to do? Right. I mean, so I sort of came kicking and screaming into the path of self-awareness rather than just blaming my exes, for all their problems and so forth. And so here's the funny part. When I actually put the mirror up and I actually looked at myself, lo and behold, it was me.
Right.
Like it really wasn't all the women. I mean, not to say they didn't have their issues, but I really began to see that I had some what I call relationship persona issues, some blind spots. Some of my childhood wounding was coming out in the way I was relating. Like I really saw that I was responsible for what I was experiencing. Okay. Now, at first, that horrified me. I was like,
of course,
it's so nice to blame everybody else. When you start to see your part, the ego doesn't like it. But the reason I became a coach is because that work that my coach did with me and asking me to look at myself and my willingness to kind of go along with it at first and then to see what I discovered, that was so transformative for me. I mean, that changed the entire trajectory of my life. Because soon after my work with my coach, I was able to meet and date and fall in love with and marry an amazing woman. We've been together now almost 15 years. Okay. And so I became a coach because I just felt like, you remember that movie, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe?
Right.
Oh my God, what's the name?
I remember the book when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I don't remember the movie.
The character's Lucy, and she goes into a wardrobe closet, right? And she discovers Narnia, right? And then she's like, it's so amazing. She had to go back out and tell her friends what she found. Right. It's sort of like I became a coach because I felt like Lucy. Like, yes. I just want to I want to help other people. I want to do for other people what my coach did for me. I want to
Amazing.
see if anybody wants to look in the mirror and ask themselves, what am I doing to create these dynamics, to attract these men or women, to get myself in these patterns? What am I missing? What am I not seeing? What is unconsciously running in my life that is responsible, like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, pulling the
Yeah.
levers and turning the knobs? What's really going on here? So I want to be with people that want to take the same journey I did. And so that's why I'm a coach, is just to help people do the things that I did. Because what's happened for me in my life is not because I'm special, right? I have a great relationship now. And it's not because the gods smiled on me or I got lucky. Like, I followed a certain process. I asked certain questions that is completely transferable. So I just tell people, if you do what I did, you can have the same results I got. Because it's not about me. It's about the process. Now, who's willing to really look in the mirror?
Right.
That's the question, right?
That's the $1 million question.
A lot of us aren't. And so we go to coaches or dating experts and, where do I go to meet someone? How do I approach them? Right. And then we get in Groundhog Day. We keep attracting the same dynamics over and over again. Very few people are really willing to stop blaming and look in the mirror and take responsibility. But when we do, holy crap, the insights in the transformation that happens is just unreal. So that's why I'm a coach.
Yeah. And I completely agree. I like that quote that, the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off.
Yeah.
Right. Because it sounds like that's exactly what you were saying when you first looked in the mirror. You're like, I don't want to see that. But I really admire your humility that it took to be willing to look in the mirror and recognize that, yes, of course, it always takes two. And you were the one who was the common denominator that kept on running those old patterns and blind spots and had the skills that were, survival skills.
Right. If there's a benefit to being in pain, is that your pain can lead you to, it can become a portal to profound personal growth. It can drive you the other way into depression and cynicism and I give up and screw love and blah, blah, blah. Or it can drive you to a deeper place of self-reflection. And that's where the gold is.
Exactly. I love that. I'm gonna, I talk a lot about that, the message underneath emotions, especially pain. I feel like pain is one of the most poignant emotions because we don't want to feel it, but when we do, there's a message underneath that allows the pain to be a crucible that burns away everything that's not our true self, right? If we let it, if we have the right support, because I do think that's what makes the difference between going down that negative shame spiral versus actually looking at, oh, this is rock bottom. How can I challenge limiting beliefs, learn the right skills, get past my blind spots, is if we have the right support to do so, which it sounds like you got from your coach, and that's
preaching
why you became a coach, right? Which is, me too.
I could never have overcome the things that I was involved in without somebody by my side who was not really my friend. They weren't a family member. They were someone that I was paying to challenge me to wake up. Right. I don't think it could have happened for me without that. And in my experience, it's, self-serving since I'm a coach, but I don't see too many people really turning around a pattern of disappointing relationships without having the work of a coach with them to challenge them to look in places. Because it's like, if you knew what you were doing to attract these patterns, then you'd fix it. Right.
Right. Exactly.
So
or
the
like
whole work is to discover
like...
what you don't see. So if I don't see it, well, then how could I help myself? I need someone else who might have a little bit more experience and sort of know where to poke, what questions to ask, where to prod, where to invite me to think about this, to consider that. And then these aha moments start to happen. And then you make the unconscious conscious. And then once you know what it is, maybe we'll get into that. But once I discovered what it was that was responsible for my relationship nightmares, well, then I could work on that and I could quickly deal with it and get past it and change the whole trajectory of my love life.
Exactly. And I mean, that's the next thing I want to ask you about then, of course, is, well, not just you, but what do you feel like is the biggest mistake that we make in pursuit of intimacy?
Yeah. Yeah. The best way to describe this is to use an analogy. Okay. As in a metaphor. I'm not sure which is which, even though I'm a writer. I don't know
Well,
which is
we
which.
can do
But
both.
here's the story anyway. Imagine that someone wants to compete and do well in a triathlon. Okay. They want to really do well in a triathlon. And then imagine further, which is totally not true, that I'm a triathlon coach, a former Ironman champion, and now I'm retired, and now I coach other people on how to be successful in triathlons. And so imagine that we sit down. I'm going to work with you. I want to help you. You want some help? Great. And we sit down and you start peppering me with questions. And the questions, as you're asking me, I notice that the questions are all about race day. Like you're asking me how to survive in the water because it's a frenzy in the beginning. How do you make the transition from the water to the bike and the bike to the marathon? And since you're out there all day, how much do you eat? When do you eat? You know, how much water do you drink? You ask me questions about, you know, where to speed up and make up time, maybe where to conserve energy. And I recognize as a former triathlete, those are good questions. I mean, they're important questions. But in my head, I'm saying, oh my God, this is not what you should be asking me about. You're missing it completely. You should be asking me about how do I get my butt in shape for this?
Right.
Because you could have the greatest strategy in the world, but if you're on that starting line and you're 50 pounds overweight, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
Right?
or if you haven't built up the muscle strength,
Right.
then when you try to have that strategy on game day, your muscles are going to cramp and not perform.
Right. So you've got to get ready for the race. You got to hit that starting line in shape, and then we can talk about strategy. Right. Okay.
Totally.
So
That's a great
the analogy is this: most people come to relationship coaches and they ask questions about race day.
Right.
Where do I go to find someone? How do I approach them, or how do I get them to approach me? What do I say? How do I flirt? What do I wear? How do I write a good online profile? Which online profile place should I use? Match.com, Tinder, Hinge, Bumble. You know, they asked me all those questions. And I said, okay, those are important questions. That's not what you should be asking me about.
Right.
You should be asking me, how do I get in shape for the race?
Right.
So that when I'm on the starting line and I end up, however it happens, however life puts somebody right in front of me, that's what I call the starting line. Whether you meet them online, I met my wife. I sat down next to her at a personal growth conference. I just sat down next to her. Right. And there's the starting line. Okay. So if you are not in shape when you meet that person, then you won't go the distance.
Right.
Your baggage, your issues, whatever has been sabotaging you all along the way, you're just bringing that stuff with you, which is why, you know, everybody knows this, I think, that the second marriage divorce rate is way higher than the first. Why would that be? It's because we didn't learn anything after the first one.
Right.
We just thought, I got to find a better guy, or I got to find a better girl. And I take me and I just go into a new relationship and I bring all my stuff that I didn't think I had, but I do. I bring it all and I just repeat it. And now I'm in Groundhog Day. And so the second ones don't work out any better. In fact, it's worse than the first ones.
Yep. Right? And then third divorce rates is even higher.
Right. And I'm just convinced it's because nobody stops and says, time out, I need to get myself in better shape.
Right. Yep.
I need to work on me. And then I can go to the starting line and maybe then I can really be successful in this race. So that's what I say the biggest mistake is that we focus on them. Where do I find them? The focus, where do I find the partner? Instead of saying, am I ready for something real?
Yes, exactly.
Am I ready to go deep? Do I know how to communicate in ways that create connection?
Yes.
Do I know how to handle my feelings and how to communicate my feelings and how to experience someone else's feelings? Have I let go of the past and the wounding and the baggage that I've been through so that I can be open and present with someone else? You see, those are the things that in my world, that's you getting in shape for the race.
Right. Exactly.
When you do that work, right. And that's I didn't know this, but when I sat down next to my wife, I had spent 2 years with my coach, which in the coaching, that's a lifetime, but I was messed up. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I get it.
I sat down next to this woman and we just started playing and flirting and talking during this seminar that we were both attending. And I soon found out that she just got out of about 3 years of working with a therapist, even though she was herself a therapist. Right. So we met after both of us had really gotten in shape. Well, there you go. The relationship, we were both really ready for something real. So that's what I plead with people is like, you don't have to stop dating or stop being online, but you need to ask yourself, am I in relationship shape? And I have a free gift at the end we'll get to.
Yes.
To help people answer that question. But most of us need to do a little inner work. Otherwise, we're just going to create the same dynamics over and over and over again.
Yep. And I mean, I love what you're saying, because we think that if we don't do this healing and growth and learning and unlearning in between relationships, that we're meeting a new person because they look different and they even seem different. But what's happening is attraction is based on the subconscious mind. You can't choose to be attracted to someone, right? So we're still attracted to the same person who's going to trigger our same wounds, right? Yes.
Beautiful, Valerie. I totally agree with that. Let's go there for a second. One of the things that I say, and I phrase it provocatively just to kind of get people's attention, because the law of attraction is like the big thing in our world, right? Everyone uses the law of attraction.
Oh my God, I know.
The law of attraction will ruin your love life.
I mean, I could do a whole interview about this, because I'm sure I'm going to resonate with what you're saying, because it's the unconscious mind that really attracts things. And so you have to process through the unconscious blocks, because I have so many clients coming to me being like, oh, I'm going to use the law of attraction. And that means that I'm supposed to lie to myself, to tell myself I'm not feeling what I'm feeling and pretend that I really feel good. And I'm like, oh, that's just going to attract a man who lies to you about your feelings and pretends like everything's good, because you attract who you're being, not what you're thinking.
Holy crap.
And
I hope people just heard what you said.
Oh my gosh. It's just like, I tell that to people all day long too. So I want to hear your take on it.
Beautiful. Well, I mean, I might use different words, but that is exactly it. Right. So the law of attraction, see, here's the thing. People say, I'm going to use a law of attraction. The law, if it's a law and it is real and it does work, but if it's a law, it's always operating. You don't get to choose to use it any more than you get to choose to use gravity. Like go up on top of a building and say, you know what? I'm not going to use the law of gravity today. I'm going to jump. We'll see what happens, right? The law is way before you. It supersedes you, whether you want to use it or not. So the law of attraction is working. And what the law of attraction means is that like attracts like. You attract after your own kind, just what you said. So if you are showing up in the world in what I would call a relationship persona, which is one of the things I learned about myself, but that unconscious sort of, this is the way I need to be in order to get people to like me or want me or to feel safe.
Right. Like people pleasing, or, like not really showing how you feel. Like those are personas.
Or being a rescuer like I was. Right. So if you're showing up in the world with some of that unconscious conditioning and these relationship personas, then the law of attraction is going to work against you, because you are going to attract someone who is also in a persona.
Right. Exactly.
Also, right. Because like attracts like. You can never attract someone who is psychologically or emotionally healthier than you are.
I love what you're saying. Right? It's like,
as much as we all think that, oh, my partner, I was so much more evolved than them. No, you weren't, because you wouldn't have been with them. You can never be in a relationship that's healthier than you are. Right?
You wouldn't be. So, I mean, I like to say, like, like a lot of women are like, oh, he's treating me well, but and he looks good on paper, and I think he's attractive, but I'm just not feeling attracted. Now, of course, that could be more than just your blind spots. That could be pheromones and all of that. However, what I notice, and I've coached a lot of people too, where when they do the inner work, they start being attracted to a different type of person.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason, right?
Yeah. We're going to get into that. Absolutely. Right. So when when you're in some sort of unconscious pattern, then you attract after your kind. And so like
Right.
we'll get into this. I was kind of a rescuer and I kept attracting women who were damsels in distress. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. Because it's the corollary, right? Like if you're a rescuer, you're going to attract somebody who thinks they're a
have to,
victim,
right.
you know,
Have
because
to.
it's like if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the law of attraction working, but it's working against you.
Right.
Right. So if you want to attract a healthy person into your life, it's not about where do I find the healthier person. It's about can I get in a healthier place of consciousness myself, because I will always attract after my level of consciousness, my level of emotional and psychological health.
Right.
So the law of attraction can work for you if you get yourself in relationship shape. Because if you're in great relationship shape, you're going to attract someone else who is also. Now you're in business.
Right. Exactly.
But if you're not in relationship shape, the law of attraction is going to work kind of against you.
Right.
And get you, in these repeating patterns, because you are magnetically attracting dynamics based upon what's unconscious in you, right? So that's what this works about, is making the unconscious conscious. Then you can work with it. So
right.
let me just give you an example from my life. People say, what did you discover in your coaching that changed everything?
Yes.
Well, I discovered that I had developed something that all of us do, something called a relationship persona. Okay. So I didn't do a whole lot of work on my past. It didn't have to. But I discovered that in order to be, all of us as little kids, our family of origin is, unbelievably important to our psychological development, right? We all want to be close to our mommies and daddies or our caregivers, right? And so as a little boy or little girl, you're a genius at sort of figuring out, who do I need to be in order to be safe in this environment, or to get the love and attention that I need to be. Okay. Now, with my mother, who was kind of a perfectionist, right? She took care of our physical needs, but emotionally, she was kind of distant. She was kind of harsh, kind of demanding. If mama wasn't happy, nobody was happy in my household. So looking back, I learned as a very little boy that the way that I get attention and affection from the feminine, I mean, a boy's mother is his first girlfriend, you could say, right? It's his first contact with feminine, and vice versa for women. Your first contact with masculine is your dad, right? So I learned that the way I could be close and get attention and affection from my mother was when I sort of made my life be about fulfilling her agenda, right? So don't be selfish, Roy. Don't talk about what you want, what you need. Mommy, I'll be a good boy. What do you want me to do? Who do you want me to be? What can I do to make you happy? What can I do to, to fulfill what you need done? So I became what I call good boy Roy, in a sense.
Right.
I was going to be a good boy. And when I was a good boy, I felt love and attention and affection. When I was, quote, more selfish, when I had my own wants, my own needs, my own desires, I felt distance. I saw those pursed lips, right? I didn't get beaten or something, but I felt distance. I didn't feel connection. So as a little boy, I'm like, oh, well, that hurts. I'll be good boy Roy. Now, I didn't know I was making these choices. I'm 4, 5, 6 years old,
it's
right? You don't
all,
know.
we make these choices and then
Right.
we repress them. We
But
forget
then
we made them.
you fast forward to when I was 40, 45 years old.
Right.
And in my mind, the way you get the attention and affection from a beautiful woman is by being a good boy.
Right.
So I changed the name to Roy the Rescuer.
Yep.
Because I developed this persona, this way of being, that if I make my life be about taking care of your life, if my life is about fulfilling your agenda and meeting your needs, and I'm here to take care of you, and if my life is about fulfilling your life, then I will get love and attention back. So that's what I did. And I can tell you, within a couple of weeks of some of my relationships, I would almost be moving in with the woman, and I would be raising her children. I mean, getting them up for school, doing homework with them, doing their laundry, changing their sheets, doing the shopping, cleaning the house, washing the car. You know what I'm saying? I was functioning as like a Mr. Mom within about 2 weeks of meeting a woman. Okay. Now, this was not being done because it was the way love wanted to be expressed through my body. This was done from fear. Like, if I'm not this guy, if I'm not rescuing and making my life be about taking care of yours, then you won't want me. You won't want to be with me. Okay. So I functioned as Roy the rescuer. Now, when I see that myself that way, when I see, well, that's how you get the attention and affection, when that persona is operating, who do I have to attract? Who do I require? Well, I require someone who's a damsel in distress. And so
unconsciously, I mean, this is all going on unconsciously,
totally unconsciously, right?
Right.
So I remember telling my coach, like, why do I keep meeting women who have these high-powered careers? I mean, they make loads of money. They're working tons of hours, tons of responsibility, but they're overwhelmed. They can't lead their professional life and their personal life. They can't raise their kids. They can't manage their household. They're just falling apart. And it's like, and in comes Roy the rescuer. I'll take care of everything, baby. All you got to do is take care of me, if you know what I mean, right? Because I came out of this no sex thing. So there's our codependence. I'll take care of you if you take care of me. So I'm rescuing her as a damsel. And in a sense, I'm a damsel and she's going to rescue me, right? And so that's what I discovered was going on, is that I had an image of that who I was is I needed to be Roy the rescuer to get anyone to love me or want to be with me. And as long as that belief and that persona was in place, I could go into a room of 100 beautiful women. I would find the one woman in there that needed to be rescued.
Right. Because that's what made you feel safe.
Well, it's the law of attraction, right? I mean, I have to find that woman because otherwise I can't do my thing.
Right.
I remember online,
when I was doing online dating, and they might reject you.
I met a lot of, it's just what you said about the chemistry. I met a lot of very beautiful women who were on their game, right? I mean, they still wanted love and support and that kind of stuff, but they had it. They had their career. They were good. They were on top of their game in their life. Well, we just never felt any chemistry.
Right.
You know, I don't know what it is. You know, you're beautiful or this or that, but I just don't feel it. Well, what was it? Roy the rescuer needs a damsel and you're not a damsel. Right. And so either she didn't feel a connection with me or I didn't, because we were on very different states of consciousness, right?
Right. You were in your persona.
The minute I met that woman who was a damsel, oh my God, the chemistry. Oh, I've been waiting for you my whole life. I've never felt anything like this before. This just feels like home. This, right? I mean, so that's when you're describing someone who meets someone and they check all the boxes and it's like, I just don't feel anything. All my friends say, what's wrong with you? You should, because that's a quality person. Like, what's going on? I just don't feel it. Okay. It could be the pheromones. It could be just the organic chemistry thing, maybe.
Right. Or
you could be in a persona and not know it, and they're not matching. There's no cookies and milk dynamic, right? Rescuers need damsels, right? How many women complain that they keep attracting narcissistic men? That's the thing now. All the narcissistic men. Well, narcissistic men, that's a persona on their part, right? This self-absorbed, the world revolves around me. If you keep attracting them, that's because the law of attraction is working against you, because you must be an utterly unselfish person so that this person who is all about them, they need someone who will let it be all about them.
Right.
Do you follow me?
And something in you finds that attractive, like you think that they're confident or whatever.
Right. Two narcissists could never attract each other. They would beat the hell out of each other. No, it's about me. No, it's about me.
I mean, unfortunately, they do in the beginning because they love bomb each other and then it blows up. I mean, I've seen that happen too. But
but the narcissist who thinks that life revolves around him has to find a partner who says, yes, I agree with you. It does revolve around you. And so that's a persona, right? So if a person says, I want to find a man who's not a narcissist, that's not the question. It's how do you let go of your I'm this unselfish persona, that I don't matter, that I don't deserve, or I'm not worthy. That
or it's
persona
all about the
attracts
other
that guy.
person.
Right.
Or I'm more, shy and I want to let the other person have the spotlight, or whatever the persona is.
The sphere. That's the sphere. Right. So if you don't want to attract a narcissist, you have to do your own work of stop being the persona that fits like cookies and milk with that kind of guy. Same way, like I just was talking with a client the other day, and they were like, I get in these relationships where they almost said it themselves. It's almost like I'm a fireman. Everybody I date has these emergencies and they just dial 911 and I got to come to the rescue. I got to come fix the problem. In fact, I think it was a woman. She was even talking about her kids and her mother and her sister. And she had this dynamic going on that she was the one that just brought the fire hose all the time to put out the fires, to fix the situations. And she was having trouble, like she wasn't attracting any men. And she got to really see that, yeah, if you see that a relationship means you got to be a fireman to put out everybody's problems, why would you let yourself open up to being with a man? What, do I need another person in my life that I have to rescue, right, to be on call for? So these are the kinds of things that you need to be doing the work on, rather than where do I go on Saturday? Because if Roy the Rescuer finds the best pickup bar in the world, I'm going in there as Roy the Rescuer. And I'm just going to meet someone and I'm going to do my thing again. And it's going to end up the way everything else has. That's what I call Groundhog Day.
Yes. No,
over again.
I think Groundhog Day is actually one of the best movies.
Very conscious movie.
Not necessarily. I mean, I love it for many reasons, but that is exactly what happens. And it's about relationships. It's like he keeps on repeating the same thing over and over again until he does what it takes to actually get her, right? Until he actually learns the right skills. And
well, yeah, I think actually he's learning to come to acceptance of what his life is, and then he breaks free. But when he's in the resistance to his life and being a weatherman and then it just everything.
Screw it, and I'm just gonna have fun and ruin everything. Right.
but back to our story here. Yeah, that's what I discovered. So then I had to do the work. Just me understanding that wasn't enough. I was beginning to understand that who I thought I was I just thought I was a really nice guy. I did. Exactly, I had no idea that I was being Roy the Rescuer out of fear, right? It was out of fear. I thought I had to be this way in order to get a woman to want me. Okay. Right. So now when I'm confronted with that it's phony, that it's fear driven, that it's not who you are. And that whole idea that you got to be that way to get a woman to like you is garbage. The question that I had for my coach was basically, her name was Diana. And I said, Diana, I don't even know who I would be if I wasn't that guy. And I'll never forget her response. She said, welcome to the journey.
Yes.
That was the born again moment. Like, now that you know who you've been and who you aren't, of course you don't know who your authentic self is. It got buried a long time ago because as a little boy, you just found a way to be connected to your mother. Good for you. You probably needed to do that, but you don't need to do that shtick anymore, right? Yep. But now you got to wake up to it. And then you're like, well, who am I if I'm not a rescuer?
Yeah.
And then I had to spend the rest of my coaching time trying to find that out. Like, who am I if I'm not doing that? And that was scary because I had no idea who I was. And that's where it started for me. And that's probably the most exciting time for me as a coach, is when a person hits that place, kind of like a rock bottom, like, okay, now I know what I've been doing to create all this. It's not their fault. Right. Okay, my ex-wife had issues and my fiance. Yeah. But without my Roy the Rescuer stuff, none of it would have ever happened. It would never have, it just never could have gone that way. So I took responsibility and I saw that. And then it's like, all right, now I got to find me. Right. And what does that mean? And then the more I found that, I was able then to meet my wife at that conference and be more of my authentic self and connect with her, not out of fear, like I got to be someone to get you to like me, but from a place of security and groundedness to where this is me. If you like this, we're in business. If you don't, that's okay.
Right. Exactly.
I'll
Because
find
then
someone who
you're
does.
not in a persona, you're just being authentic.
Right. So persona work is a huge part of what I do with people, because all of us come out of our childhoods with something. I don't care how great your parents were, that you come out of your childhood. This is what Freud basically discovered, right?
Right. And it's not about how good, right. It's not about how good or bad our parents were.
No.
It's about what our limiting beliefs are about love, and who we think we need to be in order to earn love versus being authentic, right? And that's where persona comes from. And we have all these different archetypes. I mean, I like the victim, the rescuer, and the perpetrator
the drama
triangle. That's the most famous one, but there's many other personas out there, and I love that you work with personas. And so, and I'm sure you talk about that.
Well, all the personas fall on that triangle. Roy the rescuer was a victim.
Is the rescuer. I mean, the rescuer is interesting because the rescuer seems like a conscious one, but it's not, because you're not, as you said, self-connected. It's all about, I have to earn love. I have to be what I think the other person wants. And then that's not sustainable. So then eventually you have to either withdraw or blow up and get demanding, right? So that it just doesn't work. So, I mean, I think that like the persona work is extremely important. And I know you talk about that. I know that your book talks about 7 relationship muscles, and I'm sure that that's one of them. Maybe if you could just share with our audience, because I know it's time to close, but I'm sure they're chomping at the bit. Like, what are the skills that we need to learn, and what are the things we need to do?
So it dovetails with that example of getting in relationship shape. So that's why I titled the book Relationship Boot Camp, right? Hardcore training for life, love, and the pursuit of intimacy. So I use the fitness metaphor to sort of describe it. And so I come up with 7 relationship muscles that need to be strong if you want to be able to go the distance. And so these are just 7 areas of life that I have found that we need to have some maturity, and we need to have some consciousness in these areas if we want to connect with someone in a healthy, sustainable way. And so there's 7 of them. And you have a relationship. Well, first of all, a relationship with reality. I mean, we live with so much resistance to reality, but that's too deep to go into right now.
Right. That was the Groundhog Day lesson.
Yeah. We have a relationship to our mind, that little voice in our head. We have a relationship to our emotions. But the one I'd like to talk about is probably the juiciest, most important one, is what I call your past muscle, your relationship to your past. Okay. Because I often joke that the only people in this world that don't have baggage are the little babies in the maternity ward. Okay. Everybody else has got some bumps and bruises. Sometimes there's severe trauma. Sometimes we've just been broken up and lied to, betrayed, gaslighted, ghosted. But all of us have some relationship past, some pain from our past. Now, the issue is the past something that's merely happened, or is it something that's happening? Right? For most of us, our past is alive in us.
Right.
We've been hurt. We've been betrayed. We've been lied to. We've been cheated on. And so naturally, out of self-protection, we can be in the world in a guarded way, or we can be suspicious, or we can even build a wall around our heart. And walls will keep you safe, but they will keep you single.
Yep.
Nobody
and in a persona
to hurt you, but they can't get in to love you either, right?
Right, because a persona is made up of walls.
Correct. So a big piece of work that most of my clients, pretty much everybody I've had to deal with, is to take a look at their past, because it's so easy to be guarded, to come from a place of, well, it's difficult sometimes to trust, right? What are trust issues? Well, I've been hurt, so I don't know if I want to have my heart is open. So it's very easy for people to sort of start or move into the dating world from a perspective is that I don't trust you. Right. I want to get to know you, and you need to prove it to me. Okay. Yep. So you're starting from a guarded place, and you need to prove that I should open my heart to you. Okay. Well, a good person is going to feel the resistance. They're going to feel that they're sort of being held accountable for something they didn't do. Okay. Yep. Now there's no judgment there, but if I'm a good person, I didn't bring a sledgehammer to this date. I'm not interested in knocking down some walls. I'm going to go to that girl over there who's got her arms wide open, saying, I'm going to trust you from the get-go until you show me that you're a jackass. Then I'm going to kick you in the balls and send you down the road. Right. The difference is,
or like, I mean, I think healthy is not just blindly trusting, but healthy is being connected to your intuition, that you're not guarded, but you're like,
maybe, but I get what you're saying. But it's starting from the place that my heart is open and available. Let's play, let's dance. If you show me that I shouldn't be open to you, then I won't be. But I'm not starting from I'm closed. You have to earn your way in here.
Right.
If you're that way, and most of us are that way, if we can be honest, because we've been hurt, that the people that are interested in breaking through that are not the kind of people that you want to end up in a relationship with.
Absolutely.
Right. They got their own neurotic need to be loved or need to be wanted. And I'm going to, right. So you get into a weird dynamic. So
they're probably in the rescuer role because they're like, oh, I need to earn love by breaking through and then I'll get my needs met.
Right. So a big piece of work that most of us have to do before we get to the starting line, before we get to race day, is we need to deal with our past so that it is something that happened. Okay. We're not talking about forgetting things that happened, but we've let it go. Right. We've done the work. I have a whole process that I do with my clients on how to let go of the past. Because right now we're just talking about the philosophy of if your past is, if you've got baggage and trust issues, your heart won't let you connect with an appropriate person. Right. Yeah. So we have to do that work. And of course, my book goes into details on this. Of course. I just want, that's all 7 muscles are like this. That this is what it means to get yourself in relationship shape.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, I just want to talk about, elaborate on what you just said for a minute, because I agree. It's extremely important, because if you don't do that inner work and you just show up with that guard over your heart, as most people do, then it's just so hard to know if the person in front of you is the right person for you, because you're not connected to yourself and you're just in a role and they're just in a role and you're just going to keep repeating the same patterns, And so I think the work you're talking about, I agree. It's not just letting go the past by just, I'm just going to decide to let it go and, do the law of attraction and focus on what I want instead and pretend that didn't happen. Right. That, because that's denial and repression.
And at this point, I got a sense that I'm feeling the listener here, that I don't want anyone to hear that there's something wrong with you or that this is wrong or bad or feel shame. We've all done this. I had to do that, right? This is just normal. You go through life, you got bumps and bruises and it leaves marks and it affects you and your ability to be open and connect and be playful and be your natural self, right? So this is nothing to feel bad about. Totally. If you're hearing this saying, I think I got those trust issues, I think I don't feel bad, but do something about it, right? I mean, it's like you got to get yourself in shape, because otherwise you're going to be in that groundhog loop again with another disappointing short-term relationship. And so maybe that should I lead into my free gift now, because we're getting close to an hour?
Yes. I think that I'm sure your free gift is an introduction to your style. And then if people resonate with that, I'll put a link to your longer book in the notes too, so that people can, if they want to see your process for how to let go of the past, that they can have access to that, because you've just done such a good job of explaining why it's important. So I want to make sure people know how to get it.
Yeah. Well, it's even cooler than that, because we're talking about here, what I'm basically saying is the key to having a great love life is getting yourself in relationship shape.
Yes.
So the question becomes, well, what kind of shape are you in right now? If you're in great relationship shape, all right, great. But what if you're not? And maybe you think you are. Like, what is your actual, right? So, because if you went to the gym and you wanted to hire a personal trainer, the first thing any good trainer is going to do is run you through a bunch of assessments to see what they're working with. They're going to find out where you're strong, where you're weak, what your conditioning is. Because once they know what they're dealing with, they can put a program together to get you where you want to go. That's what I do as a coach. So the first thing I do is I want to find out, what is your current relationship fitness level? Yes. Once we get that, no shame, now I can put a program together to get you in shape, because I know what you want to end up in. You want to end up in this healthy, sexy, playful, co-committed, beautiful relationship. But that depends on where you're starting from. Okay? Right. So on my website, coachingwithroy.com, is something called the Relationship Fitness Self-Assessment Test. It's a 30-question true-false test. Take you about 3 to 5 minutes to take it. You get your results immediately. They are absolutely confidential. Even I don't see your results. I just get notified someone took the test, but I have no idea. You get an email back immediately, and it puts you in a fitness category based upon your answers. You're either ripped, relationally ripped. Nobody has ever scored in that. That's like, that means you're Jesus.
Maybe I'll
or
take
Buddha.
the test like after this and see how I score.
Yeah, you're Jesus or Buddha. Okay, and nobody ever get right.
I probably won't get that high. By the way,
you're either going to be relationally ripped or, what's the next one? I think it's overweight. Yeah. No, relationally ripped or skinny fat. Okay. Which means you look pretty good, but you got, there's some things going on in there. Right? Or you're overweight, or you're unhealthy, or you're dangerously out of shape. Okay. Now, I took my own test, even though I wrote it, because it's extremely accurate. I can just tell you this. Okay. And one reason I know is I took my own test, but I took it from the mentality that I had before I worked with a coach. My wife took it from the mentality that she was in before she worked with a therapist, and we both scored in the worst category. Mm-hmm. Duh. Of course, my love life was a mess. If I'd have scored in the middle, the test isn't worth anything. Okay. So I just tell people, don't be surprised if the test shows that you need to get in better shape. Like, don't get offended if it says that you got some work to do. It just means you're human. It just means that you just need some work to get yourself in a better place. And chances are, if you're listening to this conversation, you probably do need to get in better shape, because if you were in great relationship shape, you wouldn't be listening to us. You'd be listening to some other podcasts, because you wouldn't need this, because you'd already be in a great relationship. So because you're listening to this, it might mean that you need to grow. Okay. It's just like,
it's right. So kind of like a logical thing.
So go to coachingwithroy.com and take that test. Maybe the link is going to be down on the show notes. I'll send it to you, and find out what your current fitness level is. And if you get results if you want to talk to me about what a coaching program would look like to kind of get you in the shape that maybe now you think is important for you, well, then we can talk about that. But at least kind of find out where you are right now. I think, to me, it's like getting to know your credit score before you want to buy a house. I mean, you better know what your credit score is, because otherwise the bank ain't going to give you the money, right? But if you raise your credit score, then they'll start throwing money at you, because now you're worth the gamble, you could say, right? So get yourself in better shape, and then the action starts to happen, or at least the healthy relationships start to happen.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I'm sure there's absolutely no corollary if women are taking the test to their actual physical shape, because I know that we have a lot of baggage around that.
Now this got nothing to do with
if you're willing to let that go,
or your boobs.
Yes,
no,
exactly.
It's got nothing to do with that.
But and of course, I think all shapes and sizes are beautiful, and I'm.
Let me just have
another conversation about that.
When I say in relationship shape, I'm not talking about anything physical.
Right. No, I know. I'm just
conscious, emotional, psychological. Right. I mean, it's got nothing to do with the size of your body, or for men, the size of your bank account. It's got none of that.
Right, exactly. I just wanted to like double triple check for anyone listening. But yeah, I mean, what I'll do is I will post below the video, and for those listening to the audio on the podcast, include it in the show notes, both your free gift, which is the quiz. And I'm going to take the quiz because I want to see how I score. Sure. And then I'll also put a link to your relationship bootcamp book in case people really want to check out.
And it's on Amazon. You can find it just by using the title, but that's That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll post a link, and then I will also post your email so that if people get the quiz and for whatever reason they want to reach out to you, I know you probably gets emailed from your email, but if they just want to reach out to you right away, I'll post that too.
Oh, yeah.
Because
yeah. Oh, and I wanted to mention that I have my own podcast, right? It's named after my second book. It's called the Attracting Lasting Love Podcast. And so you can find it everywhere. There's, I think, as of right now, there's 79 episodes up there. So another great resource. That's free.
Yes,
so there's no subscription there.
I'll paste the link to that below this as well so that people can check out all the other wonderful, awesome. I'm sure valuable information you offer, because this has just been a wealth of knowledge. Yeah. And so
thank you, Coach Valerie.
Appreciate you, Coach Roy, for sharing. I think this is exactly the information that I should have heard when I was in my 20s that would have prevented me from getting into an unsuccessful first marriage as well. So I mean, I didn't share my story here, but I made a lot of mistakes in my first marriage as well, and now I'm happily married because of the skills I know. So I can speak ad nauseum as well about the importance of getting clear about your inner blocks and removing your inner blocks, and that you get yourself in relationship shape so that you attract the, like attracts like, and that you attract somebody who is really right for you because you fully know yourself.
I think the best coaches are those who have made the most mistakes, but have learned from them.
Right. And
then turned it around. Right. And
turned it around and trained and how to help
I often joke
from them. Yep.
I would never go to a therapist for marriage counseling if the therapist has been married 50 years and never been through a divorce. I just wouldn't do it. I need someone who's been through the nasty and learned some stuff down in the dirt of their own life. Cause I'm just not interested in what they would tell you in a university about stuff in psychology. I want to know down in the dirt from people who have lived it and come out the other side.
Yeah. Amen.
To me, that's where real wisdom comes. I mean, education's got a point, but it's got a limitation to what I think real wisdom is, that you dig out of your own experience.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, any coach or teacher or therapist, I always want to know what.
And my wife's a therapist too, so I totally appreciate therapy. I always tell my clients, man, I'm not trained to do the stuff that she does. I can't deal with PTSD and self-mutilation and bipolar. No, but she's not trained to do what I do. She'd be the first one to tell you that. Yeah.
No, exactly. We all have our gifts and our skills, and it sounds like you're really skilled at helping people get in the right relationship shape.
Skills.
Yeah. So I encourage everybody to check out your free gift and your book and your podcast. And it's just been a pleasure to talk to you. And so
me too.
I really wish everybody the most love-filled and authentic, self-connected day that you can have, and that you learn all of the skills and unlearn all of the blind spots to fully thrive in your authentic self.
Yeah.
And
thank you, Coach.
Yes. And so till next time.